A billionaire risks all his money and life on a mission to Mars. I promise you this is not a Dar Man video, but what they find there is shocking. It was year 1967 when a Soviet spacecraft reached Earth, successfully completing its mission of Red Planet. An astronaut, Vladimir Komarov, was operating the spacecraft, but before any celebration of its remarkable success, the spacecraft disappears, and its pilot Vladimir Komarov vanishes too. After a long time, a billionaire named Meyer starts a mission to land on the Red Planet. It was Ulysses, another space mission to Mars. It takes Ulysses 10 months to reach closer to the Mars. This spacecraft has intelligent crew members including Meyer himself. Captain orders AI of the ship to prepare everything for their easy landing. Captain emotionally discloses that he spent all his money into this mission since past 4 years, but an American company, Zillion, had already executed their Mars mission 2 weeks earlier. But the company didn't find any news about this space mission except a creepy video in which a crew member of the said ship warns them not to come to Mars as it is extremely dangerous. This video message sparks a fight between crew members, but the captain orders everyone to get ready for landing. All crew members went into their rooms, and just 30 minutes before landing, AI Irene started its landing preparation. But suddenly strange things starts to happen. Ship refuses to detach from its carrier system. This was a life-threatening error for crew members, as now they have to detach manually. Commander decides to take the risk, and he tries to detach crew members from outside. The spaceship suddenly enters into the Mars atmosphere, causing a jerk that leaves the captain behind in open space. Shuttle faces power breakdown and was about to crash on surface of Mars. The crew only had the option to land manually. They somehow managed to land the shuttle manually and lost most of their fuel in this try. AI Irene goes into sleep mode and refuses to restart again. Poor crew members had only 1 day to survive on Red Planet. Alexandria saw a space suit on the ground, outside from the shuttle's window. She cries in grief for her husband. Upon investigating the ship, the crew realizes that this ship wouldn't be able to return to the orbit. They can recharge the ship with solar panels, but this requires 2 more days. Situation gets worse when they notice a Martian storm quickly approaching towards them. Simon, with his quick thinking, advises them to use the crashed American ship's batteries, which was landed and crashed here 2 weeks ago. They send a rover for this purpose, and the rest of the crew tries to restart the ship. Engineer Basil remembers about an energy-saving function of ship's AI. He tries to reboot Irene, but all goes in vain. On the other hand, Rover finds a broken piece of American spacecraft, but they find no evidence of its crew members. When they are about to return, they find an unconscious man in spacesuit and a black box of crashed spacecraft. They take this man with them to the ship, but a crew member refuses to open the door as he doesn't want everyone to die for an already dead man. Alexandria tries to convince him, and at that moment, they get to know that the person was alive. They have another bit of good news. AI Irene becomes active and opens the door. Upon investigating, they find no connection between the man and crashed American ship because this man was Vladimir Komarov, who was born in Soviet. He took orders from USS in America, but he wasn't aware of his presence on Mars. He didn't reveal any secrets. The crew tries to contact the American corporation company on Earth, and they receive a message from them. They say they didn't have any Russian member in their crew. They all get confused as Vladimir Komarov had died in 1967. Then how could he reach to the Mars? Is he a time traveler? Psychiatrist asks Komarov a few more times, but he asks for food in return. When Komarov is eating, Jana informs him that he has died 50 years ago. Komarov doesn't respond. Now their ship is operating better, but they still need fuel to leave Mars. They all keep their eyes on Komarov, but suddenly he vanishes and they find his spacesuit is missing too. Few crew members led by Simon start to move on a way suggested by Irene. They leave the rover, and on the other hand, Alexandria informs crew members about a strange third strand present in Komarov's DNA, which proves he is not a human. Pedestrian crew members find Komarov standing next to a strange structure. They find there a small pyramid-like structure too. Komarov informs them that Mars has been waiting for them. On Earth, the founder of Zillion Company, whose ship was landed on Mars earlier, get to know about their finding of Komarov. He says that Komarov is an AI, as no human can survive this long on Red Planet. The story on Mars takes another turn when AI explores the strange structure of Komarov and shows shocking similarities between it and Earth's ancient civilization's material. Remaining crew on ship becomes upset about their return when they find another ship of Goldstein. They ask for help to return to Earth together, but Mayer refuses their offer. He orders his fellow crew members to hide Komarov through a special suit. They consider him in their team. But when the door opens, 2 aggressive military officers enter into the ship and forcefully take the rescued black box from Mayer. Their alchemist informs them about the strange properties of pyramid stone they found. The stone is an alloy of special metals that do not exist on Earth. Additionally, the stone possesses a third strand similar to the DNA of Komarov. Now the crew has divided into 2 groups. One wants fuel in exchange of Komarov, and the other wants to know the truth of Mars. Jana calls Komarov in his cabin and seeks permission to hypnotize him. When she starts, crew manages to hear their conversation. Komarov only remembers his final moments of joining Soviet. Jana remembers remembers her conversation with Kumaro, who was upset for humans' betrayal towards Earth. They get to know that Mayer didn't organize this all for Black Box. 4 years ago, Rover sent them few footages about the special stone. Gemma informs them that information written on that stone can be decoded by Irene. It was a series of numbers. Basil informs Mayer that he had a copy of that black box, which they rescued from Zenta 1. Basil shows him that it was Kumaro who initiates Irene. Mayer shows some photographs to Jenna, which he received 4 years earlier from Rover. That was Jenna's photos, and that's why Jenna was selected for this trip. Jenna feels disheartened that Mayer fooled everyone for his own desires. Suddenly, she sees herself in her father's home, where Kumaro informs her that she too is a link between Earth and Mars. He was waiting for Jenna for thousands of years, and now he will make her able to take a decision. He tells her about Mars' coordinates where she have to reach. On Earth, we see a scientist team informs Goldstein about Kumaro, who is just like a computer with biological body. On the other hand, Jenna steps out from the ship, ignoring Simon and his instructions. Ellen and Alexandria become surprised to know that their engine access are blocked, and suddenly Irene starts to respond their questions with jokes, which is a quite uncommon thing for a machine. Irene reprogrammed itself, and when they ask Irene who commanded it to reprogram itself, it doesn't give any response. Jenna finds a small pyramid on Mars, and on the other hand, Simon forcefully takes Gemma with him to find Jenna. Simon orders rest of the crew not to let anyone enter the ship, but at that moment, 2 military officers arrive and demand Kumaro. Mayer asks Basil to send message to Goldstein on Earth, but Irene blocks all their communication to Earth. Basil tries to reboot Irene, and at that moment, military persons are also looking for Kumaro. All of a sudden, power goes out. This benefits Kumaro to vanish once again. Jenna slips down from a rock and falls unconscious. When she opens her eyes, she notices her foot under a giant stone. She starts crying, facing her death, but soon, Simon and Gemma find her. On the ship, Alexandria observes that Martian storm is upon them. Both military officers decide to leave for Earth, but suddenly lights start flickering. Kumaro appears in front of them from nowhere and asks them to take him to Earth too. Gemma, Simon, and Jenna look for Kumaro's suggested location when they reach the entrance of an underground bunker. That entrance was quite similar to the Petra ruins on Earth. They enter it and they are shocked to see water there. But the strange thing is, Kumaro didn't want to show them this side of Mars. On the blue planet Earth, Goldstein tells a story to his team about Mars, a story he heard in his childhood. He compared the main character with Kumaro, who was waiting for his founder on Mars. He says that Kumaro believes that one day he will meet the man who made him. Gemma, Simon, and Jenna find a wall made up of human skulls inside the bunker. They conclude that human from Earth visited the Mars before them, but the truth was different. It was Martians who took their civilizations to Earth. Suddenly, Jenna falls on the ground. Gemma runs to save her life, but Simon stays there to help Jenna. On the ship, Alexandria helps Kumaro to leave, but unfortunately he dies, and Jenna in the bunker stops breathing too. Simon removes his helmet and becomes surprised to realize that he can breathe there. He blows air into Jenna's mouth, which proves to be effective, and Jenna starts to breathe. Mayer tries to find his crew members to go back to Earth when Gemma reaches the ship. Jenna sees a blue light in bunker. She, along with Simon, chases the source of light. When they come out from the bunker, they find a man there who was the same Kumaro. Mayer follows them too and catches them at North Pole of Mars. Kumaro explains the fate of Red Planet, that once humans lived on Mars, but they used up all the resources, and in return, they gave nothing to Mars, which resulted the destruction of their home planet. They should have at least given a like and subscribed to the channel. Their fate would have been different. Few people survived, and many of them left for the Earth. Kumaro calls Jenna as a savior of humanity, who has abilities of both Martian AI and humans, but it is Jenna who will decide whether humans deserve another chance or not. When they all get back to ship, Simon orders everyone to return now. Gemma, alone on her ship, decides to leave for Earth without responding to the crew of other ship. Then, Mayer starts to speak about his guilt. He admits that he wanted to replace Goldstein, and now he couldn't live with the guilt of his disastrous decisions. Gemma replies to him and asks him to reach quickly. But when Goldstein notices that she is going to help other crew members, he blocks the control panel from Earth. People in the spaceship silently wait for their death, but Jenna uses her power to remove the blockage. But before they leave, another military officer arrives in front of the ship and tries to destroy the ship's engine. Jenna gets out to confront him. As she finishes dealing with the officer, countdown begins and Jenna realizes that now she cannot enter the ship. She confesses her love for Simon and says a final goodbye. When they exit the orbit, Mayer notices that North Pole of the Mars was dark, leading him to believe that they must not have been there. But it is revealed that they were indeed in the North Pole, but in a distant past where the Red Planet was still habitable for humans. On Earth, Goldstein is informed of the spaceship's return to Earth, and he decides to visit Mars by himself.